friends. I'm Kathleen, and welcome to my Trodden Trail. Today's Wednesday, the 19th of February, and I've done this video about 5 times. Just the beginning of it. Let's see if I can get it right this time. I've had lots of interruptions by animals and texts from people that never text me and decide they want to text me right when I start doing a video. Anyway, hello, how are you? Coming to you on this very, very bitterly cold Wednesday. It was in Blair, Nebraska this morning when I got up at 5. It was 7 below. Tonight our low is supposed to be 17 below, and none of that takes into account wind chill, which, I don't know, I think tonight is supposed to be something like 25 or 30 below. Just trying to keep my chickens alive. They have a sweeter heaters in the coop, which do kind of help at least keep their combs from getting frostbite on them. But they put out very little heat. They're very safe heaters. You know, you don't want the chickens to heat up too much and then go outside into the bitter cold and go into shock. So I don't know. It's all very scary. We lost a chicken a week ago Saturday, and she was young. She was 2 years old. She seemed to be in fantastic health. She had been fine the day before. She had been fine the morning of, and several hours later she was gone. And we have avian flu in the United States. I think it's all over the world now, but I haven't had any signs from any of my other chickens, no symptoms of avian flu, so I'm hoping it was a one-off. Birds do. They're very fragile in a lot of ways, and they do just die. They have heart attacks. Any number of things. She could have had other issues that I just didn't know about. It's really hard to say. If we lose any other birds, we will have to call the Department of Health out and have them check and see if we have it. It's horribly scary because there are different strains of avian flu, but in general, if one chicken gets it and dies, the whole flock will die. And if the health department finds out that your flock has avian flu, they will make you cull all of your birds, put them down, euthanize them. It's terrifying, and apparently the administration fired yesterday or the day before, fired the people who were working on figuring out and finding, a vaccine or, studying the avian flu. They fired all those people. They fired them. I really want to present this to you as just facts with no feelings. That's very hard to do at this point. So they're currently trying to hire them back, but apparently their employment records were destroyed. I don't know why on earth you would ever destroy people's employment records. And so now they're struggling to find a way to find these people, contact these people, and hire them back again. That's one little piece of what's going on in our country that's directly impacting me. Right around the 20th of January or the 25th of January, the administration blacked out all information coming from the CDC and the FDA. And so where there had been a website that we could go to get updated information to see, for example, is avian flu in your state or in your county, that's no longer available. It's been blacked out. There's a blackout on the information. Because, you know, why would you want your citizens to be informed? Anyway, there's no point in going on and on about it to you, just to say that I'm worried about my chickens, and I'm angry. And every day seems to get worse. Seems to get worse. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to start out talking about some fun stuff. I have just a tiny bit of haul. I have some whips and 2 projects that aren't cross-stitched to show you today. So I did a little bit more work on my great niece's Afghan. Just, I don't know, just 3 or 4 rows. This is something that I like to work on early in the morning when I first get up with my first cup of coffee, and maybe I'm not quite awake yet. Crocheting is, I think it was maybe one of the first things I ever learned how to do with my hands, and so it's very easy for me to just sit and crochet and relax, and you know, it's very soothing to me. But then, exciting things, I had a hankering. I finished my chicken rug, and I think I showed it to you a while back. I finished a chicken rug that was kind of a more primitive style chicken rug, and I still have to bind that, but it's all hooked. But I had a hankering to do some hooking, and I had a hankering to do something bright and cheery. And so I went through my rug stash and found this. This is called Party Chicks. It's by Spruce Ridge Studios, which is Lori Brecklin, who does some cross stitch designing. And I thought, yeah, I don't know. I bought this years ago. I don't even remember when, but I thought it was super cute. And I already had all the wool for it. And so I sat down and brought everything back downstairs. I had taken all of my rug hooking stuff upstairs, and I brought it all back down and got it all set up. And I've been rug hooking the last couple days. And this is where I've gotten to so far. So there's that first little chick in the middle with her party hat. And yeah, pretty background. The color of the chicks are the wool is all hand dyed by Janice Lee from the Rug Hooking Store, which is located in Lincoln, Nebraska now. But and so she assigns names to all of her wool colors, and that color is actually called Chick Gold. So how perfect is that for my little chicks? But anyway, I just love it. Just love it. And boy, did that hook up really quick. That's only been a couple of kind of sittings. But yeah, so I really enjoy that. I had let the dogs needed to go out a minute ago, and I had let them out. And when I let them out, both cats zipped out, and I hear them meowing at the door. So let me let them in. Okay, they weren't there. They decided they didn't want to come in. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out because it's very cold. They should not be outside. Okay, so let's see. So anyway, a little bit of rug hooking, a little bit of crocheting, and then I actually got a package mailed off to my great niece for her shower. Her baby shower is this coming weekend in California, and I won't be able to go, but I had put together a few things from this cute little boutique in Blair in town, and just some cute handmade bibs and receiving blankets. And then I had purchased, I think from Shabby Fabrics or maybe Fat Quarter Shop, one of the two, I had purchased a kit for a receiving blanket that was just a little bit extra. It was a really cute charm square receiving blanket. Of course, I didn't take a picture of it, but a cute charm square receiving blanket with this really phenomenal border around it that was mitered, and it was easy instructions. Put this together in half a day or whatever. And so I thought on Friday, well, I need to get that package in the mail, and I will go ahead and make this little receiving blanket since I don't have the Afghan finished to send along. And I don't know if my head wasn't in the right space to do this, or if I'm just not smart enough. I could not figure out the pattern. I must have ripped out seams 18 different times. I got the front part done, all the charm squares put together. That of course was no problem. But I could not figure out the pattern. I was telling my sister about this yesterday, and she's like, well, why didn't you just YouTube it and look for a video of it? I was like, it never crossed my mind to do that. So I spent most of the day Saturday working on it, half a day Friday, most of the day Saturday, and I ended up thinking I had it figured out, putting it together. It was all wonky and wrong and did not work. And so I ended up having to cut the border completely off and just sew it right sides together, and turn it like you would just a plain Jane receiving blanket. And then I started having problems when I was trying to quilt it. My machine was going funky and doing all kinds of things and skipping stitches, and I changed my needle, and I have no idea. I was barely able to send it. I mean, it's not great. I told my sister, she's going to be at the shower. I said, don't look at it, because she's a quilter too. I told her, please don't look at it, because it's terrible. Now, it's a receiving blanket, and receiving blankets are not they're not going to be around forever. I mean, this is probably, hopefully going to get used and abused, and as it should, and it's fine. It's just, I was really irritated with myself for not being able to figure out this pattern. So anyway, but it's off and it's gone, and it's fine. So, okay. So then I got just a little tiny bit of haul. Every year, as you all know, every year around Valentine's Day, Kathy Haberman releases a chart, a freebie that she does in honor of her wedding anniversary. And she did it this year, and I, downloaded it as soon as I got the newsletter and that, found out that it was released. I think I've done them for the last, I'm looking behind me because they're back here in a bowl. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years I've done her little freebie, Valentine freebies. And this year she released a little finishing kit to go along with it. And so I went ahead, I downloaded the freebie, and it looks like this. If you haven't seen it, it's very sweet, very cute. You have my heart is what it says. And then what she included in the kit was 2 laser cut heart-shaped mat boards, so that you can go ahead and finish, once you stitch it, go ahead and finish it on these mat boards. And yeah, and so that's really cool. I am really sorry about the dog. I've redone this introduction about 6 times, and they have barked, they have whatever. I don't know what his problem is. He really wants to be outside, but it's 0 degrees out right now. And so he goes out and he sniffs around for 2 seconds and he comes back in. And I think that's what he wants me to do. And I've been doing that all morning, and I'm not going to do it anymore. So we're going to try to ignore him. If it gets really bad, I'll pause you and go do something else. Anyway, so that came this week. And then along with it, she sent another little freebie, which is this cute little, it's called Snow Globe Snowman, and just a cute little snowman in a tree. And is there a heart? It almost looks like he's holding a heart. And I thought that was really cute. And so I will have to stitch that. I have not started this piece. What does she call for? I don't even know if she calls for DMC or if she calls for specialty floss, but I'll probably just use what I have. But I would like to get that done sooner rather than later, because I'm afraid if I leave it, I won't do it. I feel like I need to. I usually try to get her pieces done before Valentine's Day, and I didn't this year. And then I get the Luca S newsletter, freebie, not freebie, the daily Luca S newsletter. And because I haven't been wanting to spend a lot of money and buy a lot of new stuff, a lot of new cross stitch stuff, because I have so much, I a lot of times will just delete those emails without even looking at them. But for whatever reason, the other day, and this was very recently, this came very quickly. The other day I thought, oh, I'm just going to take a peek. And I took a peek, and there was a pattern, and I just fell in love with it. And I went ahead and bought the kit. This is called the Magnolia Dew the Magnolia Dew, and it is Luca S Gold Collection. I didn't even realize they had a gold collection. But it comes with 25 count Zweigart, and I don't know, it'll be interesting. I've never really stitched on 25 count over one before, and I think that's how you're supposed to do this. I think this is called, I think this is actually, do you call it, yeah, petty point? So I'm gonna have to read the instructions and see how this is different from regular cross stitch. I was kind of thinking it was more like needlepoint, but I don't know. Anyway, it's beautiful. I have no idea when I'm gonna start it. Several weeks ago, my friend Pam from Stitching Between the Lines asked me to look at, we have a couple of the same Luca S kits, and she said, would you take a look and see if you can see if on any of your kits they have a download code that you can download your charts to, to Pattern Keeper or Notes Pro Plus or whatever. And I looked at all of the Luca S kits that I had, and none of them had a code. The dog started barking, and I don't even know where I left off. But what I was saying was, a few weeks ago, my friend Pam asked me to look at my Luca S kits to see if there was a code for downloading the charts to, as a PDF or whatever, to Pattern Keeper or Notes Pro Plus or whatever. And I looked through all of mine, and which were all, I've had them for a while. None of them had a code or anything you could scan. I don't know what those little squares are that you can scan. I don't know what those are called. But anyway, this one does. And I noticed it. I didn't notice it on the front cover, but when I opened up the chart to take a look at the chart, which is huge and multi-pages, I noticed that there was a kind of a barcode type thing that you can scan, and then you can download the pattern. I haven't tried it yet. And then it says it on the front here. So that must be a new thing by Luca S that they're doing, and that's really great because their charts are quite intense. So I like that, and I really appreciate that. Okay, I think that's everything. I've shown you the rug, I've shown you the haul. Let's go on to whips. So let's see. I've worked on 3 things since I last saw you. And I have had one focus piece, which is still not done, but it's getting there. And here's what I figured out about myself, which I knew before, but I just kind of cemented how I am about stuff, is I can work on something, for, I don't even know, it's different, and it definitely depends on my mood and what else is going on in my life, but I can work on something for a good portion of time. But if I don't allow myself to kind of veer off and look at something else, either do a completely different kind of a project or at least find a different chart to work on, then when I sit down to cross stitch, I'm like, ugh, I don't feel like working on that right now because I need a break. I don't know what it is about me, but something about me, I need a break from that focus piece. And if I allow myself to take a little break from it, it is much easier for me to go back to it and spend more time on it than if I say, nope, I have to work on it. In which case, if I force myself to work on something I don't feel like working on, I won't work on it for very long. So I've had several days of forcing myself to work on this and then not really working on it much at all because I got tired of it. And I've had several days of working on it, get tired of it, switch to a different project, work on that for a day or two, and then I'm ready to come back to this. I really love this stitch. It's nothing about this stitch that I don't love. It's just, it's a lot, and it's, I get tired of it. I get tired of it, and I need a break from it. So, but gosh, I'm so close. And really, I've been trying to do the border a little bit at a time, and take breaks from the inner stuff because the border is very monotonous. which I think is really pretty. I think the monotony of it is really calming and pretty, but getting it stitched. Okay, so here's my piece. This was a fundraiser by Teresa Kogut, and I've shown it to you. I've shown you the main chart several times, and now that I have at least a little bit of everything stitched, I don't have to show you the main chart again. These flowers here, these little, I don't know, they look kind of like lollipops to me. These go all the way across here, and then this flower here, I think there's 3 of them, so I think I have two more of this flower to do. It goes up here and then meets up with the lollipops that come out across the top. I need to finish filling in 2025, and I need to fill in this basket. And that's it. Everything else is done, I think. Oh, that tree needs some work. So we are definitely getting there. I need to finish the H in hope, and then all the words are done. And I love it. It is a gift. It's going to be a very belated gift, but that's okay. And yeah, so I really do think I'll get that done this week yet. Well, between this week and this weekend, I should get it done. And yeah. And then, with everything going on in our country, I decided, I happen to be on Blue Sky, which is the only social media that I'm on now. And Pam from Just Keep Stitching posted a really beautiful stitch that she had done years ago. I think it, and now I don't even remember exactly what it is, but I think it had Abraham Lincoln or his face on it and some wording, and it was gorgeous. Yeah, she had posted that, and it just got me thinking. And so I went to Etsy and I just typed in Constitution and cross stitch, and I'll insert a picture. And there were several things to choose from, but I'll insert a picture here of what I ended up purchasing. And so this only calls for 3 colors. It's all DMC, and I went ahead and kitted it up. I think my blue is not the exact, I think it's my blue that's not, no, maybe my blue and my gold. Anyway, the colors are close, very similar. They're just not maybe the exact, but these are the colors, just red, gold, and navy blue. And I got a little bit of a start on it. I worked on this, I don't know, just a couple times when I got tired of working on Love Never Fails. And I started in the middle, and there's my little start. This is the preamble to the Constitution, which, yeah, so this is just the little paragraph before the actual Constitution starts. And if you grew up in the United States, as I did, you memorized that. I think everybody, at least my generation, we memorized it. You had to memorize, a lot of people had to memorize more than just the preamble. And I think we could get extra credit if we memorized more than the preamble, but you know, I still know that. I still have the preamble to the Constitution up here. And then oh, I didn't bring my sheet over, but I one day was just very, very tired of working on, and this may have, no, it was after I started the Constitution piece, but I just needed a break and from Love Never Fails, and I thought, oh, let's do something from WIPGO. And so one of my WIPGO calls for this month was Hawthorne Hill Sampler by Karen Kluba. And if you remember, I started this in the fall, and if you remember it, my fabric is different. It's not the called for, which I don't remember what the called for is. Oh, Spice Linen from Picture This Plus, and that really does look like a spice kind of a spice color. My linen is something iridescent from 123 Stitch. I don't know if I have it doesn't look like I have what it is, but it's very beautiful. And that's sort of true to color. It's really showing up very iridescent here. I worked on this piece for several hours over the course of a couple days. And let's see, the last time you saw it, I had finished, let's see, what did I have? I had A, B, C, D, and F, K, and P. And so I finished G, H, I, L, O, and part of L, M, N, O, P, part of the Q, I think. And then I added this little border here, which it's just kind of a up and down border that goes all the way across the piece with these flowers in between. And these flowers are really, really fun. There's a new show. Oh, I think it's on Netflix. I'm not sure. My husband is the one that turned it on. I think it's on Netflix, and it's called Paradise. It has James Marsden and Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us in it, and it's kind of a political thriller, I think is what it's called, and it's a series. It's not a movie. And so we were watching that while I was stitching that. So now every time I look at that, I'm going to think of that series. I think we have one more episode to go. Okay, so so that's it for the stitching. If that's all you wanted to see and hear about today, I wish you well. If you want to stick around for a little bit of history and maybe a little extra, then join me for just a few minutes. We're going to spend like 5 or 6 minutes on this, and that's it. I mentioned earlier some of my frustrations, and I fully recognize that my frustrations, whatever they are small in comparison to what a lot of people are dealing with. People who have lost their jobs, people who have, whose whole way of life has been taken from them, people who are worried about getting their Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare checks, people who are worried about getting treatment, people who were doctors and scientists doing research for the National Institute of Health, people around the world who have lost funding for food and rural hospitals and all sorts of things. So I realize that my complaint about not getting information on avian flu is small. It's small in comparison. But I do think it's important that, and again, I fully realize I'm mostly preaching to the choir here. I do think that it's an important point that we all recognize that what is happening in the United States today really is going to impact everybody. One thing that I keep sort of hearing being bandied about by folks that kind of think the way I do is bringing up egg prices. And the fact that eggs are going now for, $6, $8, $10 a carton is not the fault of the current administration. There is a huge avian flu. It's been around, I believe, since 2022, and it has caused the death of millions of birds, of chickens, other birds too, turkeys, geese, ducks, but chickens. And so that is what is, and it's very bad right now, and it's kind of making its way back across the United States. And you kind of think COVID for chickens, right? Um, I've read disputing reports on whether it is 100% mortality or it's not 100% mortality or whatever. But that is one thing that I just wanted to clarify here, that if you're paying more for eggs right now, it is not, that's not being caused by what's happening in Washington, D.C. However, I'm not seeing anything that's helping that situation, or anything that's going to make that situation better in the near future by that administration. And in fact, the blackout of information is certainly going to make it worse. I mean, certainly not having the information. And then, people can do what they want to do with the information, but the information should be available. So my point in all this is that, I think there's a lot of, I don't know if the word is privilege, but I think there's a lot of junk going around. And I've heard, I've even had friends, dear friends whom I love, say to me, well, this isn't going to affect me. This isn't going to affect my family. I think that's really an ignorant point of view. Maybe naive is a kinder word. But I think that's really, I think we're all going to be impacted by this. And I think we're kind of starting to see that now. And not just, because the price of eggs is out the window, but because of everything that's happening and all of the repercussions of everything that's happening. So just, that's just my little 2 cents on that, and not actually what I was planning to talk to you about today or read to you about. There was apparently yesterday a comment made, and I'm not using names because I don't talk about people that I don't respect or look up to. I don't give them the benefit of saying their names, so I'm not using names. But there was a comment made by someone yesterday about Ukraine and Russia, and the comment was, Ukraine shouldn't have started this war. And I did my usual Kathleen thing of throwing a big fit to myself, here alone, and my dogs are looking at me like I'm crazy. And then I thought, well, wait, what do you actually know about the Ukraine-Russian war? And so I did a little bit of research, and I'm not going to give opinions. You know what my opinions are. But I wanted to know, and I want to share with you. So, this is just, online it's called the Russo-Ukrainian War. It's an article. And I'm not going to read you all the, there's a lot, but just some of the information, that pertains to that comment that was made, that very dangerous and untrue comment that was made. So the Russo-Ukrainian War began in February of 2014, so that 11 years ago. Following Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity, Russia occupied and annexed Crimea from Ukraine and supported pro-Russian separatists fighting the Ukrainian military in the Donbass War. These first 8 years of conflict also included naval incidents and cyber warfare. In February 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine and began occupying more of the country, starting the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. The war has resulted in a refugee crisis and tens of thousands of deaths. So then it goes on. It talks about in early 2014, the Euromaidan protests led to the Revolution of Dignity and the ousting of Ukraine's pro-Russian president, Viktor Yanukovych. Shortly after, pro-Russian unrest erupted in eastern and southern Ukraine while unmarked Russian troops occupied Crimea. Russia soon annexed Crimea after a highly disputed referendum. In April 2014, Russian-backed militants seized towns in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region and proclaimed the Donetsk People's Republic, the DPR, and the Luhansk People's Republic, the LPR, as independent states starting the Donbass War. Russia covertly supported the separatists with its own troops, tanks, and artillery, preventing Ukraine from fully retaking the territory. In February 2015, Russia and Ukraine signed the Minsk II agreements, but they were never fully implemented in the years that followed. The Donbass War settled into a violent but static conflict between Ukraine and the Russian and separatist forces, with many brief ceasefires but no lasting peace and a few changes in territorial control. Beginning in 2021, there was a massive Russian military buildup near Ukraine's borders, including within neighboring Belarus. Russian officials repeatedly denied plans to attack Ukraine. Russia's President Vladimir Putin expressed irredentist views, and I've not seen that word before, I have to look that up, irredentist views, and denied Ukraine's right to exist. Let me read that to you one more time. Putin denied Ukraine's right to exist. He demanded that Ukraine be barred from ever joining the NATO military alliance. In early 2022, Russia recognized the DPR and LPR as independent states. On February 24th, 2022, Putin announced a special military operation to demilitarize and, another word I don't know, denazify, maybe, Ukraine, claiming Russia had no plans to occupy the country. The Russian invasion that followed was internationally condemned. Many countries imposed sanctions against Russia and sent humanitarian and military aid to Ukraine. In the face of fierce resistance, Russia abandoned an attempt to take Kiev in early April. In August, Ukrainian forces began recapturing territories in the northeast and south. In late September, Russia declared the annexation of 4 partially occupied provinces, which was internationally condemned. From then through 2023, Russian offensive and Ukrainian counteroffensives gained only small amounts of territory. The invasion has also led to attacks in Russia by Ukrainian and Ukrainian-backed forces, among them a cross-border offensive into Russia's Kursk Oblast in August 2024. Russia has repeatedly carried out deliberate and indiscriminate attacks on civilians far from the front line. The International Criminal Court opened an investigation into war crimes and issued arrest warrants for Putin and several other Russian officials. Ukraine did not start that war. One last thing I want to mention, and we're over our 6-7 minutes, and I've been thinking a lot about this. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if this all feels like too much for you and you're feeling despondent and despairing, I want you to take a step back and give yourself a break. Unless you're a member of the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Supreme Court, a cabinet member, a governor of a state, or you work for the state in some high, level job, this is not your job. This is not your occupation. This is our country, and we do need to do our part. And I think we all have a part to do. I mailed letters on Friday to my senators and my congressmen, telling them how I felt and what I thought. I'm planning to mail letters to them every week until things get better here. That might be 4 years from now, and that might be 6 months from now, and maybe it'll be next month. You have a job to do, and that job is to take care of yourself and your family, to be around and to be sane for when things do get better, or for when there's more that we have to do. I have had days of feeling so bad and so despondent over this that I felt like I could do nothing. And that's what people on the opposite side want. They want us to give up. They want us to feel overwhelmed and feel like there's nothing we can do, and let them do whatever they want. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to step away. It's okay to put boundaries up on how much news you watch. I'm really trying not to doom scroll, and I'm really trying to fact check every piece of information that I get, so that and to do that before I get upset, right? Also, it's really important, and this is really hard for me, and I know it's hard for some of you, it's really important to take a step back and try to be objective about things, and to, like we said last week, take things one day, one step, 1 minute, one event at a time. Because if you try to look at the whole picture, oh boy, it's overwhelming, right? Again, this isn't our job, but we do have a job to do. And if that means protesting, if that means writing letters, if that means making phone calls, if that means, talking to your friends and having conversations in the coffee shop about what's going on, that's do what you can do. Do what you can do. If that means volunteering in a soup kitchen, if that means donating money to organizations that are doing things that are helping, do those things. Do those things. Don't give up on those things. But also protect yourself, protect your heart, protect your soul. I think the other thing that's important to talk about is we all have some sort of spirituality. We're not all Christians, but we all have some sort of spirituality in us. Do what you feel is best for you in these times. So if it's prayer, it's prayer. If it's church, it's church. If it's meditating, if it's yoga, if it's running, if it's biking, if it's, working out, whatever. And for a lot of us, it's multiple things, right? Like I've been getting on the bike, the stationary bike, trying to get on the stationary bike every day, regardless. I hate it. I hate it. I hate exercise. I hate being winded. I hate feeling weak. I hate feeling like I can't do stuff. I hate it. But when I get off of it, even though my legs are jelly, I feel so much better. Spending time in nature, that's been pretty hard. But for me, when things get really rough, sometimes in the afternoons when I'm feeling really, really rough and like the world as we know it is ending, I just go outside and hang out with my chickens. And that does me a world of good. So this is kind of likening to if you're in an airplane and you're with your child and the oxygen mask comes down, you put yours on first, right? Because if you don't get enough oxygen and you pass out, then you're not going to be able to help your child get their mask on. So put your mask on, do what you need to do to take care of you, and then 1 minute at a time, one step at a time, and we'll get through this. Keep stitching. There are days when that does not soothe me, but there are days when that really is the end all be all for me. Same with watching floss tube. I have really cut down on the amount of floss tube that I watch lately. sometimes it seems silly to me. It seems silly that I'm spending time watching FlossTube when there are all these big things happening in our world. But sometimes it's just what I need to soothe my weary soul. So do those things, and all will be well. It might be a while, but all will be well. Evil doesn't win. Evil doesn't win. All right. Love you guys. Take care of yourself. Talk to you soon. Bye.